Have you ever dreamed of making 3D art as a hobby or even for some extra income? Then this beginner-friendly series is for you. I want to help you learn Blender, but keep in mind that all the 3D knowledge you gain here is transferable to any other 3D software. In this series, we are going to create the 3D opening scene you just watched. We will start with the basics like viewport navigation and work our way up to animating and rendering the entire scene. So without further ado, let's start our journey from zero to hero. Before we start making anything fancy, we need first to learn the basics like viewport navigation, moving stuff, etc. So let's go. So when you open Blender, you will be faced with this viewport. I know it looks scary at the beginning, but don't worry, I will explain it in an easy way that you will understand. First of all, this big window is the 3D viewport. It's where you will make your object and create your scene. Whatever you create right here will be shown right here in the outliner. The outliner is basically a way to organize your scene. For example, our scene right here, the default scene, have a cube, which is this one, a light, and a camera. You can rename this object or put them on a folder, which is called a collection in this case. This right here is the options and details. You can think of this as the properties. You have some general properties like the render engine, the world background, etc. And you have some properties that depend on what object you select. For example, if you select the camera, you have these options of the camera. If you select the object, you have this material options. This right here on the top is the default workspace. You have some default workspace that are made for you to use. For example, if you go to the sculpting, this is the sculpting workspace, texture painting workspace, etc. Okay, this down here is the timeline. It's where you get all your animations. Right here, this is the solid viewport. It's where you see your object. This solid viewport does not show material and does not show the light. If you go to the second one right here, the viewport shading, you will get to see your material. For example, if you select our object, go to material, you can change the color of your object, but if you go to solid mode, you will see nothing changed. But in this shading, you can see the change. And if you go to the render viewport, this is the render viewport. It's where it interacts light with the material, because in the material right here, the light basically is not calculated. Okay, this right here is the wireframe. If you press it, you can see the wireframe of your object. And this right here is the X-ray. If you press it, you can see through your object. Okay, so let's go back to the solid viewport. These options and these options will be explained later. These options right here, this view, for example, is for the options of the viewport. If you press view, you can check the toolbar here, or you can check it back. Okay, or you have the sidebar here, or you check it back, like N as a shortcut. Modes here are different modes that can be used to do different stuff, but for the moment we are only going to speak about the edit mode, which allow you to modify your geometry or your mesh. These modes here depend on what you are selecting. If you go this, you will not get it. Okay, this right here will be explained later on. Now let's talk about navigation, but first thing, go to edit, preferences, then input. If you don't have a numpad, press on this emulate numpad. Here, if you hold left mouse button and hold, you can move around your scene. You can select the top view right here, or the right view right here, like you can see it, or the front view, or middle mouse button and move, and you can see around it. Okay, if you press 1 on the numpad, you go to the front, 3 on numpad right, and 7 on the numpad for top. If you press 9, you will get the opposite. So if you are in top and press 9, then you go to the bottom. If you are on right and press 9, you go to the left. Let's move it, middle mouse button and move. Okay, if you want to zoom in and out, go to this thing right here, press on it, then move in or out to zoom in, or with the middle mouse button, scroll in or out. With this, you can move around your scene. So press and move. Or you can hold shift and middle mouse button and move. This you can go to the camera view. So this camera right here, if you press on it, you go from to see from it. Okay, or you can press 0 to go to it. This right here is the orthographic view or perspective view. We are now in the perspective view. If you press on it, you go to orthographic, or press 5. You go to perspective, 5 again to go orthographic. Go to the end of the screen. You will get this thing up here. You can click with the left mouse button, hold on it and move. You can get now to split the screen as you want. Or you can go to this black line of separation and with the right mouse button click split. You can do it here or here or horizontal. Let's do it again. Let's get a vertical one here. Let's say you want to join this. You can click with the left mouse button, keep clicking and move. You get to merge it like that. You get to move it, merge it like that. Or you can go to this black line again and you will see that you have the join areas and you choose. You join it like that or you join it like that. Here with this appearing here, you can have different editors. Here you have the 3D viewport, but you can have the shader. You can have the timeline just like this one. Oh, I forgot to say something. Like if you have it like that, you can see like your options here and here are not fully appearing. So with the middle mouse button, you can move it like that. Select an object, then go to move tool right here. Press on it. The red line is the x-axis, the green line is the y-axis, and the blue line is the z-axis. Okay? Or press G to move it, and press again to confirm your new location. Or you can press G, and to restrict the movement in only one axis, press X or Y or Z. Always, if you want to confirm your selection, just press again. So J to move it, then only on X to move it where you want, then click again to confirm where to put it. Okay, the same thing for the rotation and for the scale. Select it, then go to here. You can get on every axis, or press R, then choose what axis, X on axis X or Y or Z, and press again to confirm. The same thing for the scale. Choose the scale. You can scale it on Z, on Y, on Z, or press S, then X, Y or Z, or just S and move if you want to move it uniformly. Okay, and this right here, you get every tool in one place. So this here is the move or rotate or scale. These options right here, as you can see now, the transformation happen on global, but if you go to local, you can move it like this. Normal, the same thing, because it faces the normal of that face, or global again to move it like that. These are the origin point location. This is to snap it to a grid or something. You choose it right here. We'll talk about it later. And this is for proportional editing. We'll speak about it later on. Now we have learned so much about basics. First of all, good job, my dear friend. You have made it so far, and you should be proud of yourself. The real question, how to create anything. So let's start with the Blender tradition and delete the cube. To delete anything on Blender, you select it, then right mouse button, and you have the delete option with the shortcut. Or you can go to the outliner and select it, then right mouse button on it, then you have the delete option with the shortcut. The shortcut for this is either X or delete. Let's delete it. Bam. To create anything, you go to the added menu, and now you have all these options to create, from mesh to lights to camera. Let's add it a basic shape. The basic shapes are named mesh. So inside mesh, you can have cube, sphere, or whatever you want. Let's create a sphere. When you create any object or anything, basically, you have these options that appear right here. If you press on it, you have these options for the sphere, like the segments, which are this. Let's make it, for example, 8 or 12 just to see it. Or here you have the rings that go around. Let's make them 8 or 6. And you can create. You have like the radius, the location, and the rotation. If you press away, you lose those options. But if you press F9, you get those options back. Let's say you select your object, then you move it. Now you have new options that appear here. It's the options for the move tool. If you press away, then press F9. You get the move tool options. So F9 will get you back whatever options you had last. As a shortcut, you can use Shift A. You get the same menu right here. So you can have the mesh or whatever you want. So let's go to mesh and create a cube. And now you have these options for the cube. Or you can use this right here. This one will give you some basic shapes that you can create in the fly. So let's go. You added, for example, this cone. So you have this up here for you, which allow you to create that shape right here anywhere. So we can go here and just do this. We can make it like this, we can make it like this, but if you press Shift and keep pressing, you will get it proportional like that. If you release the left mouse button and keep pressing Shift, you will get it proportional. But if you release the Shift and just move, you can move it. Let's put it like that. And you have these options that appears. So what if whatever you want to create does not exist in this list? For example, you want to create a sword. In that case, you go to the edit mode. And inside the edit mode, you will modify the shape until it looks like a sword. So how to access the edit mode? You select the object that you want to modify, and if you remember, in this modes we have the edit mode. Or let's go back to the object mode. You select the object, then you press tab and tab again to go out of edit mode. So as you can see, every object that you create is made of this basic element. Each object is made of vertex. This right here allow you to select vertex. So press here and go and select this vertex. Two vertex will give you an edge, which is this one. And if you go right here and press on edge, you can select the edge. Let's go back to the face. If you select 3 points or more, you have a face. So this for faces, this for edges, and this for vertices. So go out of edit mode by pressing tab again. Let's select this object, for example, and let's access the edit mode. If you enter edit mode, we can see it clearly here. If you select two vertices, you have this edge selected. So an edge is a connection between two vertices. A face is a connection between either a 4 vertices or 3 vertices. By modifying this faces or edges or vertices, you will get different shapes. So here you can just select this and go to move tool and just move it up, for example, and you can see it's no sphere anymore. The same thing goes for here. Like if you go out of edit mode, then select your cube, then enter edit mode again by pressing tab. Now you can easily go down, go to faces, select the face. In the move tool you can get it looking like that, and then select this and make it look like that. And if you select this edge right here, go to edge and select this edge, you can make it look like that, which is looking a little bit like berserk sword, big sword. Okay, so each time I need to do this, I need to go up. Actually, there is a shortcut. You can press 1 on the keyboard to go to vertices, or 2 on the keyboard to go to edges. Like 1 for vertices, 2 for edges, and 3 for faces. And all the transform options that we used before on object, we can use on these faces. So for example, we can select this face and go to rotation and rotate it. Or we can press S and then make it bigger. And we can modify objects like that to make them look exactly as we need. While we are working on the PC, we are not going to use a lot of these edit options, because we are going to use them when we start adding details to that PC. I am going to explain each tool of this, and we are going to get to there. So I hope you keep going with me. We will begin our modeling journey by creating the basic shapes for our scene. This is called the blocking phase. It's a crucial step in any 3D project because during this phase, you can experiment with your composition and overall scene without wasting time modeling unnecessary details. This way, you won't find yourself realizing later that the details aren't useful or need to be changed. Luckily, I already have a composition in mind for us to work on. we will block out the basic shapes of our PC and the controller to make sure the proportions are right. Once we start adding details, everything will look nice and well proportional, just like in the reference image. So let's start blocking. Now let's create our shape. So select all of this, then press X to delete everything. Let's create a new object, Shift A, Mesh, then let's select a cube. Okay, let's move this cube up, J, then Z, and move it up. Okay, now let's enter edit mode. Go to object mode and choose edit mode. Now let's select this. Here you have maybe vertex or edges. Let's go to faces, select this face and either press J then Z, or using this, just get a little bit up, whatever make you feel better. Okay, then you can go a little bit down. Again, while selecting this, press this and then scale it. If you scale it like this, it's move a lot, so press shift and hold and just move to move it slowly. So let's move it like that, something like this, and then let's keep it like that. Select this again, press S, and while holding shift, just make it move a little bit. Okay, let's go to object mode. I think it needs to be a little bit wider, so select your object S, then restrict to only Y axis by pressing Y and just move it on Y. Okay, same thing goes from here, S, then X, just on X. I think like that it looks awesome. Now go to the edge of the screen, left mouse button and hold to create a new window. Okay, if you press 0, you can go to the camera view, or press this to go to the camera view. If you move, you will go out of the camera view. So press 0 to go into the camera view, then press N, go to view and choose lock to camera view. Press N again. Now whenever you move in the viewport as usual, this will make the camera move with it. So like this, like if you go out, you can see it right there, so it's moving. Okay, let's put it like that. Now let's press N again, unlock, and just leave it like that. You can see how it will look while moving this. So press tab to enter edit mode, go to select. Okay, now we kind of reversed it, so this is the front face. Okay, this is the front, so let's make this, deselect this, press on it, then shift and select to select them both, S and X to make it wider. Select this face, then J and Z to get a little bit up. Okay, something like that. Now let's go to object mode and keep pressing and choose a cube. Let's put it right here and bam, and just put it. Okay, go to selection again, select this object that we just created, enter edit mode by pressing tab, then if you are on vertices mode, press 3 to go to face mode and just select the face, J and Z to move it up to here, then press A to select everything, then J and Y to move it on Y to make it a little bit inside, then select this face and shift and select the second face and just S and on X to make it go like this. Then select this face with left mouse button, then only either J on Z or just go to transform and move tool and make it go down like this, so it should be around here. Okay, something like that. With will add the face inside, should be like that. Go out of edit mode and then select this, enter edit mode again with tab, then 3 to be on face, and then select this face and just move it a little bit down. Again, go out of edit mode by pressing tab, select this object, enter edit mode, press here and just move it a little bit to have this a little wide. You can see it here how it looks, and I think we can make it like this. Just edit mode again and just select this face, J and Y. I think something like that is good. Then go back to object mode, go to this, added a cube, and just added small cube right here, and just bam, this should be the cassette. Let's move it a little bit. Let's scale it on X, S, then X to scale it on X, S and Z to scale it on Z, and just make it go down. So basically we are using whatever we created, S and Y, to scale it on Y. So we basically are using whatever you used before and just made this object with it. Okay, then top view, and just go right here, try to make it in the middle. Let's create a little cube like this and just give it some up to be the button right here. Okay, and let's move it. Now we have created this basic shape, basically just editing the geometry and making this. Now let's create the controller. Go to added a cube and just add the cube, get it up, something like that. Edit mode, JZ, and move it down. Here press N, lock to camera again, just go a little bit back. Let's go to selection again and just leave it like that, because I think it's big enough, or maybe that's too big actually. So yeah, it's too big, so select this and just move it a little bit, and from here it's okay. Okay, I'm just following the reference and try to create the basic shapes. Now let's go to object mode, go to this, press and hold and choose the cylinder. Just move this, press shift and just move it like that. I think this should be a little bit smaller, but not on the Z. So press S, then shift and Z. Like that you restrict the movement only on X and Y. So you restrict the scale only on X and Y. So let's make it a little bit smaller like this, and let's just go here and go to sphere and just create a sphere. Hold shift, then release and keep holding shift and press again. Now you have this. Let's make it 32 with 16, and now we have this. So J and move it on Z, then J and move it on Y, oh I mean X, J and move it on X, and just something like that. J, like just go to front view and get closer. You can just move it with J actually in front view, and then J and Y, J and Y, and just like that. You can make this a little bit smaller, move it down and move this down. Okay, something like that. Now if you want to duplicate this, select it, then right mouse button and choose duplicate object, shift D. You can duplicate it and restrict the movement with X to move it only on X. Now let's talk about selection. If you press this and hold, you can have all these options. You have the tweak, which is the first one. So if you press on object, then keep pressing, hold it and move. You can move it, or press X to move it on X, Y or Z. So it's like having the grab tool or the move tool with the selection at the same time. Okay, the second one is the select box. It's basically when if you press and hold, you can create a box that allow you to select multiple things. For example, if you select this, then while on the box selection and keep pressing, hold and move, nothing will happen. You will just create this, which allow you to select multiple things. The circle selection, if you press and hold, you can move and select multiple things at the same time and keep selecting. it's really more showed better. Like if you go to edit mode, let's select only one face, like we are in the box selection, go to the select circle. If you press and hold, you can like draw your selection. Okay, if you press and keep pressing and scroll up and down, you can make the selection get bigger or smaller. Okay, the select lasso will allow you to create this for selection. Like you can just, let's say, move it like that, and you know, just do this, for example. Now you have selected all this. Let's go back. For me, I prefer the selection box because I can select with one, or I can do B selection. Let's say we want to create the button. So let's go to the front view by pressing 1, and then let's get closer and select all this. Let's select the bottom half. The first thing that you will like remark is that if you move it right now, you did not select the back faces. This is because it's an option in Blender. So let's go to vertices mode by pressing this, or by pressing 1 to not select the back faces right here. So if you do this, for example, you will only select this and not select the back faces. Okay, this is pretty handy because sometimes you don't really want to select any back faces, you only want to select the front faces. But in our case, we want to select actually the back faces. So press 1 to go back to the front view again, and go here. Go up. Now you can't see the rest of the options, so press middle mouse button, hold and move it to get other options. Here it comes the utility of the X-ray mode and the wireframe mode. If you go to X-ray, let's like go this, and then go to X-ray, the X-ray mode, you get it like this. It will be X-raying, so you can see behind it. Now if you press and move, you can do this, and now you have selected everything. The same thing if you are in the wireframe mode. Like if you are in the wireframe and just bam, you have selected everything. You can actually jump from a mode to another by pressing Z. If you press Z, now we are in the wireframe, then Z again you can go to the solid, Z again you can go to the render, and Z again you can go to material preview. Let's go back to solid. Let's take off the X-ray so we can see it. Okay, what I usually do is just press Z, then go to wireframe and just select whatever I want to select, then Z again and go back to solid. So I just jump from this to this or back to select things. Okay, one another thing that I wanted to say is if you go here, keep pressing and choose tweak. But what if you are in the tweak mode and you want to have a box selection? You can press B. Like if you are in this mode and you press B, you get this. So if you press and hold, you can do a box selection. Okay, so let's go back to the select box. Another thing that I wanted to say, let's go back to here, faces. If you select this face and press shift and press again, you will select another face. Again, you can select another face, and like that you can select multiple faces. If you hold shift and press again on any of these faces, you deselect it. Okay, so let's select them back. If you press this and then control and you select this face, you will select all this from this point to this point. The same thing happen if you are on one vertices mode. Like if you press this shift, you can select multiple ones, press them again while holding shift to deselect them, or shift and control and press again to select all this rank. The same thing for edges. With shift holding, then just check this and control to select all this. Okay, if you want to select a loop, like the full loop, for example this, double click on it, double click, and you can select this loop. If you double click on one, then shift and double click on the next one, then shift and double click to select multiple ones. If you double click on this, you will select this. This happen with faces too. So if you are in face mode, if you double click close to this edge, you will select this loop. If you double click close to this edge, you will select this loop. The same thing for vertices. So go close to this edge and double click, you will select all this edge. If you go close to this edge and double click, you will select all this edge. And this is basically the selection options that we have. Now let's go back to making this. So let's go back to the front view with 1, then Z, then choose wireframe, and then press 3 to get the face selection. And let's delete all these faces. Press X and delete. Now press 2 to enter edge mode, Z and get solid, and let's go and see it. This, select it, double click on it to select all this loop, then press E and just press Z to hold it like that, and just do this. Okay. Now we have this, which is like a button. Now let's go to select mode and J and Z and move it down. We will need to squash it a little bit, so press S then Z and squash it on Z to give it this shape. Like hold shift to make it move slowly, and this is good. Shift D then press X to move it on. Let's get this closer and let's make them both smaller, and here we go. You can smooth an object by selecting it, then shade smooth or auto smooth. Shade smooth is good for circular object, and auto smooth is better for shapes with angles, like for example the square or this, because if you press this you can precise at what angle it will not smooth that object. Now we basically have created our main object. You can keep tweaking it until you like it. So now we made the object from some basic shapes, and using these shapes now we have a good look on the proportions of the object, and we can see that we are getting it correct. Now we can go to add more details in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, know that I am so proud of you, my friend. I understand how hard it is to start learning something new. So great job, my dear friend. I hope to see you in the next video where we will start adding details to our PC. Thank you for watching and see you later.